was so into it.
Bob for apples. It was like nonstop. And we're like, are you done? Like, do you want to do it a different way? Do you want me to hold it? She's like, nope, 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 I'm gonna do it.
So point 4 was an additional fishing/wildlife viewing platform at a site to be determined.
Mhm.
And then there's your map, which I just finished the
First, okay.
So the 5th point was trail connections around the restored wetland system, consisting of a marked trail through the cornfields to the north and west of the wetland system. And as funding becomes available, the restored trail connection will be made to Wright Road, and a new trail connection will be established from the cornfields to Lawsbrook Road. And point 6, which is not actually labeled point 6, finally, if funding is available, the subcommittee proposes that during dam removal, limited sediment removal be carried out to accomplish A, the establishment of the stream channel close to the Commonwealth Avenue access point, and B, the deepening of the deep pool to enhance recreational activities.
One question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Malcolm. I think on your, what did you just, trail connections? So are we mentioning any of the bridges or any of the sort of, not just trails? Is that something, because I know there were two kinds of paths that we have.
Well, yes, there were.
And you could do just trails without the bridges as one, and have to turn back, which is okay, right?
What
And
if
then
we, after, in your paragraph, after the word Wright Road, we could do parentheses via an at-grade bridge across the Michelle Brook. And then after the Lawsbrook Road or in there, say, including a new raised boardwalk section.
Yeah, perfect. Because I think those are separate and they could be phased separately too. Like you don't have to do them to make it.
Sounds good. Yes,
Right?
I totally agree. It's really expensive if I
Right.
get the budget right. And I proposed later that my budget may be totally off, but I proposed actually that we should put the sediment removal above the trail.
Yes,
Simply
it
because
needs to be done.
the trails are really expensive. But maybe I'm looking at the wrong numbers or something for that.
And then did you put in complete removal of the dam as one of the things?
I think that was the
Is that the
beginning.
first one?
The dam removal, following dam removal, the subcommittee proposed, because this is just a general description.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
includes removal of the dam.
Yes, and in the details, we get that
Okay,
later. So sorry, you said an at-grade bridge and
at Lawsbrook.
trail connections via raised boardwalks. Are you taking notes and correcting?
I'm trying to capture these changes right in.
That's perfect. I appreciate that.
Yes, I just do general notes.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the
discussed that.
overview.
What's that, sorry?
That's the overview.
That's
you know.
this section.
Yeah.
The proposal description.
Then the
Okay.
next section is please describe the
Yeah.
proposal with key elements. So I've said complete removal of the dam as outlined in the existing 30% design plan has been costed at $1,101,800 something. Based on the experience of neighboring towns, we can expect between 50 to 80% of these costs to be covered by state or federal grants. Dam removal will also remove the administrative and financial burden estimated as between $500,000 and $1 million over the next 50 years. Critically, the dam removal will result in restoration of, then it's some bullet points, the natural ecosystem with a free-flowing stream through marsh with a 4 to 5 acre open water section in the deep pool, and that's refers to figure 1.
Can I interrupt there? Sorry. Is this the good, should I be like the points that I am?
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
So I just had some questions around the phrasing of natural ecosystem. just, I don't know what the right thing is, but, and you guys can disagree with me and I'll go on with this, but it seems sort of like a non-specific sort of phrase, like just so like, and I feel like there are arguments that have been made that are like, the system that's here now has been here for hundreds of years. It's natural too. So I feel like, I don't know if there's like a more specific terminology we can use there. Or maybe I'm just like, I'm trying to think really critically about everything in terms of like the arguments that we've heard and the concern, like, and I feel like something that a lot of people, oh God, oh, and something that a lot of people have said is that, it's been here for hundreds of years. It's just as natural as anything else. So I was a little concerned about the phrase there. That's all.
I mean, that's a very good point. What would people suggest?
Something historic or pre-existing or.
Yeah.
Rest-
Even if we just say the riverine ecosystem or.
What did you just say?
Yeah.
Restoration of a free-flowing stream through marsh. What if you just get rid of the first part? That's what you're restoring, because you already said it's restoration.
Yeah.
Restoration of a free flowing, yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense. Through marsh with a full.
But actually, I don't know, for me, natural is it's not built by human beings, so having a dam is.
I think it's complicated because it can be human engineered, but still natural because
That's
natural processes
geoengineering,
take
yeah.
over.
That's geoengineering, but a dam is not necessarily geoengineering.
No.
Yeah, but Sven, I also feel like that by that argument, if we're putting in berms and then encouraging, that's also then not going to be natural. Like I know it feels like a bit of semantics to say like, oh, it's natural versus not natural, but I don't know. I'm sorry. I feel so picky. A lot of the points I have feel very picky and I apologize for that.
Well, no part of ownership, but perhaps you're just doing this thing again when you say restoration of. And then the Schuber Brook wetlands is a free flowing stream through marsh.
I think that's great. Yeah.
Okay, good. So the second point was a connection to aquatic habitat from the Assabet River into both the Neshoba Brook and Fort Pond Brook watersheds, providing spawning grounds for benefit of native freshwater fish and to support recovery of anadromous fish. Anadromous fish, I don't know how you pronounce that. The third point was reduction or elimination of invasive aquatic plants. The fourth was water-based recreational connectivity from the Assabet River to Neshoba Brook and potentially Fort Pond Brook.
So that's the one that's going to be a little tough, because if you go out there today, you cannot do what you just described.
Because of beaver
Because
dams.
Beaver dams, number
Well,
one,
and right now,
And-
there's no water.
but it's
in
been
any
like
of the
that for
systems.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
So we just.
No, but that's,
Do we
There's
want
the
to?
seasonality.
you can't,
Yeah,
you
so do
can't,
we want
you
to
have-
mention that anymore?
Yeah, but you have
the
Seasonal,
seasonality
we
of it.
connect.
but you can't canoe the Assabet right now
No,
for the same reason.
I know.
Well, you can if you get out of a canoe and
Right.
walk alongside.
But do we want to
it.
say something about this is a seasonal thing that you're describing here?
Well, I also have some commentary around this, which was, so similar to what Vicky said, I actually thought this whole point belonged below under the improved recreational amenities.
It
But I
does.
also sort of feel like we should be sort of forthright around, there are times of the year that it's gonna be more challenging. I.e. low flow is gonna mean more portaging. You might have to portage beaver dams. I think to Vicky's point, being forthright and not just kind of being like, it's gonna be improved recreational. I feel like we've heard this a lot of people being kind of like, it's not improved. I think we do have to be forthright about it, but we also discussed last time how river kayaking, river canoeing is very different than open water. So maybe we should sort of kind of put that in there. Like you're gonna have, it'll be stream canoeing, paddling, which means there are gonna be times of the years you'll have to portage more. There'll be times of the year it'll be more challenging, but other times of the year, you're going to have X amount more open. And I think we should also kind of call out where the stoppage points are at the moment for each of the two branches. So you can see like, yes, even though there is a dam up at Ice House, you still are getting this much more, even though there's this, like, I think we should call out how much further it's going to be, even though there are stoppage points.
Right.
But
Actually, I
Yeah.
had intended to put in the mileage, and then I'm sure I've read it somewhere, and I darned if I could find it in all of our documents.
But I suggest, I could
Yeah.
look into that.
Okay,
So in that fourth bullet to address the seasonal
Yeah.
aspect of water levels, what if we did water-based recreational connectivity as seasonal water levels permit
Yeah. that's good.
from the Assabet River?
And move it down to improve recreation.
Um.
Because you're saying this is under the list of restoration of,
So I'm just checking our recreational amenities
But
Those
improve
are like
recreational
built-
uses,
elements.
Yeah.
title should be improved recreational uses.
Versus like, we are recreating something else, because there's one thing, somebody said at one of the meetings, when we were talking about docks and
Yeah.
all that great stuff, trails, someone said you could do this with the dredging option.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's not
Mhm.
unique to the dam.
That's right.
But this restoration of that paddling connectivity is
Mhm,
more
mhm.
unique, so
Yes,
the reestablishment of that.
Oh, yeah, that's the logic. We are restoring
right,
connectivity. That's why it's up
Right,
there.
right,
That makes sense.
that was my read.
right. That's the,
Mhm.
yeah.
And you'll add in the seasonal, I think that's
Yeah.
good. The way you said it
I-
was good.
Should that go? Liz had suggested moving it down.
But you're saying, let's leave it if it's a
Yeah.
Because it's a
restoration.
restoration also.
Yeah.
So we're restoring it there, and then when we come down to it under improved recreational amenities, and we say paddling access, blah, 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 that's where we should note that the paddling access will be more like it was, in the pre-settler and settler days.
So you have
with
with
beaver
beaver access
dams.
from the Assabet River. You have
Yeah.
that somehow in there.
Yeah,
So you have to put it in just one of those places, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think the restoration is probably the stronger place to put it. So get rid of it under the improved recreation, because otherwise you're going to put in lieu of open water
mhm.
recreation. you're
Right. I
giving
also,
them this,
yeah,
right?
I also think that it's actually not a bad idea to have that with the first mention, because
Mhm.
people are going to immediately latch on to the point you made.
Yeah, yeah,
And if it's not answered there,
true,
they're
true.
not necessarily going to see it in the same way.
Right.
The vegan down. So that is a good idea. Yeah.
All right, so under restoration, that bullet now reads, water-based recreational connectivity when seasonal permit from the Assabet River to Neshoba Brook and actually Fort Pond Brook.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 5 was expansion of marsh habitat, extending rare species habitat currently mapped in Fort Pond Brook marshes.
Can we be more specific about what those rare species are?
Well, we have.
Because it comes up over and over.
I know it
Put it
does.
in writing.
Wow.
There's the
There's a
species
specific-
that's there's highly collectible.
Oh, I see, I see.
Right.
Just feels
I had
so,
the same point that Vicky had, and I forgot that.
no, I know, I'm just gonna tell you that when I've talked
Mhm.
about this with people, they're like, what are people hiding about this rare species? It feels
You
like
can say
they're,
we are trying
just let me
to
just
hide.
finish.
Yeah.
It feels like they have something that's not real. That's what it starts to sound like, that it might not actually be something. So I don't
Yeah.
want it to be like,
Yeah.
what are you actually hiding?
Should we,
No.
I mean, we can easily footnote.
Yeah,
We could put
yeah.
it like,
See,
name
report
not-
by,
yeah,
blah,
yeah,
blah,
or-
blah. I think if we can send them to
Yeah.
somewhere for somebody who's
Yeah.
actually looking
I
for
think
it,
that makes a lot of sense, Vicky, yeah.
the,
Yeah.
whatever rare species habitat report by,
Well, it
or,
was-
I don't care,
It was in one of
whatever it
the
was.
EA reports, actually. Was it the
Yeah,
2023
it is in-
alternative?
Yeah, it's already public.
Yeah.
I'm being a little like you would always follow best architecture practices. I'm kind of like.
Yeah,
we don't
no.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so I think just getting rid of that whole like, do they have something there or do they not have something there by
Yeah.
saying, we do have something here and here's where you can find it if you are so inclined.
However, yeah,
And then is it expansion of marsh habitat or creation of marsh habitat? Do we have marsh habitat in the
we
Warner's
do
Pond
have some,
area? We do,
because, that,
is it in this one?
well, yeah. This whole area
Is
is
marsh?
marshy things, because this used to be all pond.
But it's
at one time.
considered marsh habitat.
I think so.
I want to be clear. on
Where?
it. Are we creating marsh habitat
this-
or expanding marsh habitat?
I always thought this was
Expand.
marsh.
Expanding, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
Okay.
yeah, then there's marshes along here. So-
Okay.
Okay, so it is expanding. And then restoring pre-1850s historical condition.
so that one is pre-1819 per EA's new report.
Of, yeah, okay,
That was
pre-1800s.
Yeah,
pre-1800s, yep,
we're not getting in discussions, what is the
Yep, yep,
exact
yep.
year?
that's good. Well, yeah, I just want to get the 50s out of
Yep,
there.
yep.
Guys, I'm sorry, I have to step away for about 15 minutes. So
Oh, you missed everything.
We're gonna do all the
We're
good
just
stuff
about
now.
finished
No, we're gonna
now.
do the good stuff now.
Great. Whatever, I'm sure whatever you're saying is gonna be amazing. I love it.
What, oh,
She,
No, she's stepping away now.
hi there.
Hi, Lucy, Miss Apple Bobber extraordinaire.
So pre-1800s,
Mhm.
historical condition of free-flowing stream and surrounding wetlands supporting cool water and anadromous fish.
I thought we all agreed at a meeting 2 meetings ago that this was not gonna be a cold water.
It's not cold, it's cool.
1 degree difference is cool,
Yeah,
is it?
for fish, yeah,
Okay, so,
it really is.
okay. So that 1 degree difference is
Is-
what's
it's
making it warm versus
significant.
cool. Okay,
Should. Cool water here is a modifier of fish, right? So I'm gonna put in a hyphen for cool water fish.
Right,
okay,
okay, good. Yes,
thank you.
there should have been fish in there. Well, it is, it's cool water and anadromous fish, but if we say fish twice, then it's clear that it's not. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So say cool water fish and then fish.
And
Yeah.
then, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. No, I was agreeing with.
Right. Okay, and then finally, restoring cultural traditions of, not all, of local indigenous people based on the spring fish runs. Which,
are we restoring cultural traditions? Or
Were there
enabling?
ever, were there ever
Enabling.
spring fish
Apparently
runs
that-
here and
yeah.
at this?
apparently, according to Bruce.
Yeah, this is what I was asking.
Yeah.
Bruce at our last
Yeah,
meeting,
yeah,
Mhm.
not for his like, oh yeah, I know the specific location,
Yeah.
but. Comment on. How this location might. Kind of relate to, or how we might think of it in the context of places like down in Plymouth, where. The Mashpee Wampanoag are developing these spring herring festivals and whatnot, so,
And Bruce has talked specifically about the eels,
yes. Yeah.
because that's much more part of his tribe's history than
Mhm.
the Wampanoag, who didn't celebrate the eels so much. So, but we have to defer to Bruce on that.
Are we then restoring or are we enabling?
I don't think we have proof that it ever
Potential
happened
for-
here, so it's a new thing that we are enabling, I think, that's a
Yeah.
good word.
Potential for, or. Because we're restoration of is the
Opportunity
header.
for,
Yeah.
right. Restoration of opportunity for. Was the opportunity for,
Or maybe you get rid of it from the restoration section and you just say that another one is, we are also enabling culture, this cultural traditions of spring fish runs.
So
It's-
just
it's hard
make-
to make it a restoration.
right, so just make that,
Of,
take it out
enabling.
of the restoration
Mhm.
and put it
Yeah,
as
as a
a
recreational
paragraph
amenity, yeah.
after.
Or part of improved
Mm.
recreational amenities.
I don't
I
think
like it
it's,
in restoration, because it's restoring this natural. Phenomenon around which these cultural traditions evolve. So maybe that's it, I don't know, we could chew over that or ask Bruce how we might.
Okay,
communicate
it's
that.
just it's such an important semantic of like,
Yeah.
what are we restoring?
We're
You're
restoring,
the-
we're
the
restoring
pond, right, or
spring
the
fish
stream.
runs.
You're not
that
restoring a
enable
fish
cultural
run.
traditions of local indigenous people.
I don't think you are. Or we are, but
I thought we heard quite clearly that we would. from the.
But isn't it a
fisheries
new
person.
thing? It's a new thing that would be happening. It's not something
Well, it
that,
happened in the past.
the celebration,
It-
yes, the cultural
The
traditions.
celebration, yeah.
I think,
But what I said is we're restoring the spring fish runs,
Yeah,
enabling cultural traditions
Of the,
of local indigenous people.
actually, that works really well.
okay, yeah, so flip it around.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, and then we go to improved recreational amenities.
so can we just look at this
We
for
referred to
a
that.
second?
Yeah.
So in here, it says this figure adds a presumed channel alignment, right?
Mhm.
We added this blue thing.
I drew that.
Yeah, so should we say accomplished with dredging? That limited
Oh, yeah.
dredging?
We don't know it.
Well, I
No,
think
we
do.
don't, no, I don't think we do at the moment. What we will have to do is see where it settles out. And then we will have to do the work of, if it's not close enough here,
They said 100 to 200 feet from here. So 100, 200 feet is not this.
from there.
From the Commonwealth access point, they said it's gonna be 100 to 200 feet away from there. It may not hit this. We don't know.
I thought they said 100 to 200 feet from
From
here.
here and
Well,
from here.
from Giro Park.
From Giroux Park, which we,
Yeah.
is here somewhere. So I just, if we're gonna draw this line,
Mm-hmm,
this exact line,
mm-hmm.
right, can only be accomplished with some limited dredging. To confirm, right, because we say it later, like, well, in order to do this, limited dredging to encourage favorable alignment,
Mm-hmm.
I get that. So why wouldn't we say it again here?
Can we?
Well, we don't
instead of
say-
Presume, can we put desired?
Yeah, we could put
Yes.
desired.
Yeah, because presumed is too strong.
Yes,
Yeah,
presumed is
not
like,
based on it.
yeah, it's not based on anything, yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe it's the desired.
That
channel,
makes sense. This figure, a desired.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so no more on this.
No, I'm good. One word.
So then improved recreational amenities, improved parking and water
Sorry, where is
access.
that in here, or did that, no, is that a new section?
I,
The headers, so Malcolm suggested breaking these up into headers, and so that is, it's not in the book we have.
oh, right. So where were
Sort
we?
of takes more.
Where do you get this list from?
Right, the list is from
From the last document circulated.
the text,
I know,
that
but
you
was it
had.
in here at all?
No.
Yeah.
That list,
There's quite a bit
improved
added.
parking and water
She has a previous
access.
version.
Yeah, I have the.
I know, I'm just trying to, I can't remember where I took it from.
Yeah.
that's all.
So it's the
Water,
next element, Malcolm, that
Safe
you
and
built
sustainable
around
water
is-
access. here.
Vicky, there should be a bullet, improved trail connectivity to West Concord Village, right road, love the road, reimagined MCI land, you have that bullet? Improved trails connectivity.
right, it's not, did you print this off? Because this is the Microsoft Word document, so it
Yes.
lost some of its bullet points and things.
Oh,
So,
what the heck?
'cause
Microsoft.
I went back and worked on the version in Pages. So
So-
it's not that
Okay.
far off.
Okay,
We could- This version too.
that's okay. As long, I'm trying to make sure we hit my comments. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, let me just-
Okay. I just want to know when to talk about some of my questions, that's all. So do you think it's like, all right, I'll keep looking, guys, go ahead. Parking and water access at Commonwealth,
So, sorry. Restoration of.
yeah, improve recreational amenities.
The images up.
Not improved access.
I think formatting and where some, the way images
I
that you can.
just want to make sure I was in where we left off.
Okay,
So we finished restoration, now we're here.
So
yeah.
please-
So
Sorry, maybe back
I
to your map
broke
for a
it-
second.
I broke it up.
So maybe on the map thing, did this line go away then? This, it says, Based on existing bathymetry and analysis of recent area photographs at a post-dam removal channel would form some distance, 150 to 200 feet from the Commonwealth access point. That's where that was from.
But
In
that's,
proposal, contractors and equipment mobilized for dam removal would also perform limited dredging just offshore the ComEd access point to ensure that the channel established is directly adjacent to the access point. Did that find its way anywhere?
somewhere,
Yeah, it's still, it's way,
It's
limited
down.
dredging, sediment removal,
Yeah.
like step 8 or.
Okay.
On there.
Okay, so I'll come back to
Yeah.
my comment.
Yeah.
Okay,
okay.
awesome.
way down.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I guess I broke this up into,
But that was your
Three
question before,
pieces.
was how did we get 150 to 200 feet away from ComAv? It's in the here.
right,
So
okay.
that was in their report. Yep.
I had obviously forgotten that.
Things we would like to forget.
Selective filtering. that's-
You know, I know.
Okay, so the improved recreational amenities and
Okay.
these, I think I included the bullet points that Jeff had, but I think I might have added some of my own.
Okay.
So I said improved parking and water access at the Commonwealth Avenue access point.
So do you want to call that accessible?
Do
To
we
differentiate it from
say
everything else?
ADA?
Or just accessible
ADA?
to describe, because it might be other than ADA too.
So instead of water access, make it accessible dock.
Or accessible water access, I think, because it's going to differentiate from what happens in other places, right? And I think we get rid of
Yeah,
Giroux.
accessible water access at Commonwealth
Mhm.
Avenue. There's a lot of
Okay.
accesses
Yeah.
in there, but
Yeah.
a new water access from Giroux Park. Are we getting rid of that? Or
No,
we
I think
keep
you're
that?
making
We-
like the
we
view in the
keep it.
Whatever that
platform or
is.
whatever that is.
Okay, and then paddling access from the Assabet River to the Neshoba Brook watershed up to the Ice Pond Dam and Fort Pond Brook up to, and then I couldn't remember what the first dam is on Fort. Pond.
Yeah, but we decided that's redundant with this
Yeah.
bullet up here.
I agree.
Okay, so we
goes
take
away.
that one
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And then
So-
swimming and ice skating access at the deep pool. I don't know whether anybody's ever going to swim in that
Oh, why
thing,
not?
so I don't know whether.
People
we should
used
make-
to,
I know they used to.
if it's a deep pool and
If it's deep,
accessible,
it's-
people are gonna jump in.
They are.
Yeah.
So we can leave,
Yeah, I
leave
think.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people.
No, I-
swim there
I was-
Today, just saying,
I was just,
it's gonna happen even more when we clean it up.
so fishing and wildlife viewing access near the former dam site or Pond Street access point and Giroux Park.
Okay,
Well,
so one question would be is what will we be viewing at the dam? Where's that map again?
Well, maybe
Is
it's like fishing and wildlife viewing, so maybe there's too much conflated here.
yeah,
Yeah, because once the dam is gone, right,
Mhm.
you've got, is this really a place you're gonna stand and view? It's not like today where there's the blue heron and there's
Right.
fish and there's stuff. happening.
Because you'll still have a little.
Oh, yeah.
Bedrock.
there was a
There's
beaver
Cascade there.
sort of coming up the river last week sometime.
But I'm saying when the dam is gone, is this really gonna be a desired
I was
access
thinking of it more
viewing?
as a fishing.
Well, you still have
Location
location park
point.
there, so
Mm.
people.
We'll have the pocket park as a, yes.
But will we, do we need to add a platform for viewing access there is my.
No,
question. Since
I
we-
don't think
That's
so.
what we've said here, though.
No.
No.
No, there's no word about platform.
It Says one or more platforms will be installed to provide fishing and
Yeah,
wildlife
but that
viewing
is
access.
platform
potentially at the
somewhere
dam site
else.
and the pond
Okay,
area.
so I rewrote it.
Okay, okay.
So I said fishing and wildlife viewing access.
Access, okay, great. Thank you. That Gets rid of that.
And then historical information and celebration of 10,000 years of watershed history prior to the arrival of settlers, it should be.
So is it that the only thing we're celebrating here?
No.
Should we also talk
No,
about? Oh, yeah.
historical information and recognition of the major milestones in the settlement
Great, great.
and industrial history of West Concord.
Because I remember you said that last time and I thought that
Yeah.
was good, yeah.
And then clearly marked and safe walking trails around the impoundment area. And then it says ensure safe, I think, yeah, sorry,
Or impoundment area, can we make that former impoundment?
Yeah, yeah, it needs to be.
former impoundment area. Thank you.
Or should we make that the wetland system? Stream
The new
wetland
wetland system.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like that. And then this says ensure safe, sustainable water access to Scout Island.
I don't know.
I
if
don't think we
can.
take out the ensure.
I don't think so one thing I want to know is Scout, is it still an island? If this is all marsh, isn't it more like a hill? It is. I mean, if this is all.
No, you can
landish,
you still call things surrounded by marshes an island.
You do,
Mhm.
okay. And can we ensure water access to this thing?
Well, that's what we will have over here.
But we have to dredge that to do that. Are
Not
we-
necessarily. That is the part. This hasn't been altered. This is what
Oh,
they-
that's what they're proposing.
Yes.
Maybe if this is improved recreational amenities, maybe we just. Just have.
Yes,
States.
and just, that's right.
Okay.
And then it says facilities designed for use by all ages and abilities. I'm not sure what that meant.
Well, we're
What are the
supposed to do that.
facilities?
Yeah.
But what are the
Reiterating-
facilities?
Yeah.
Reiterating the accessibility, but we hit accessibility.
Yeah,
so
I
we
think you
talked
can get
about
rid of
this
this
week.
one, yeah.
In that general statement.
Mhm.
Okay. And then accessibility has its own
Mm.
heading under here.
Okay.
So I've used the term all ability access to the recreational opportunities offered. Expanded access and use by people of all ages.
So
Safe-
there.
Sorry, go ahead.
We needed to be a little more specific there.
Mhm.
A lot of these points, I mean, I know we talked about the viewing platforms being a great way for having cross-generational socializing. And I think maybe there we can kind of like list out like use for all ages, such as the platforms will give, you know, a space for everyone to gather, stuff like that. Maybe it's a boo bag.
These by adding, you know, accessible parking and boat launch at Commonwealth Avenue. And then the next one would be access by use of all ages by providing a viewing platform off Giroux Park, trail network or something like that, so that it can be a trail. Jeff.
Mhm.
And expansion of trails through the cornfields, you know, past Giroux, maybe we say, because that can be used by all ages. What else can be used by all ages here? And abilities. Maybe that's enough for this.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the primary things we're providing, right?
I think so.
Okay.
And then safe water access to Scout Island from Commonwealth Avenue and probable access
I'd
from
get rid of,
Giroux
I
Park.
would get rid of the one
Which-
from Giroux.
We get rid of it totally?
Yeah, because I don't.
That point totally, I think it's similar to, oh, sorry.
So how are we doing? Can we just go through what's the safe access by boat from Commonwealth Avenue? Let's just walk through it.
Well, the plan is that there would be a dock going out, which would include a boat
Which would hit
launch,
to here. Yeah.
which would.
Then you'd go
It's
this
actually
way.
just off the side of that
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And then they would be into
This.
the pond, into the river system and up
Then
to
you'd
there.
have to provide a dock up here at Scout Island
Well,
or not?
If you
It's gotta
remember,
touch Scout Island, right?
what's his name?
Somehow we have to assure that, right?
David was sort of ambivalent on the idea of having a dock on the island. He was kind of like, if you get the boats in the water, we'll get it on the island.
Yeah.
Was
But
the
the
take.
water has to touch the island on that backside.
Well, it will, only it might be, they might have to, sort of plod through a little bit of marsh.
Which he wasn't thrilled about.
No, he said Boy Scouts will,
Oh, he did.
Boy Scouts
I
will
don't
go
think
through
he was-
anything. He's-
It was funny. Like the start of it, he was concerned about, but I feel like once they get to the water towards the island, he's like, whatever, it'll work out.
Like Liz, he's got
Okay,
like
good,
a
good.
calm app, like.
Yeah.
Change anything, you need like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
a
good.
few of us are like, well, can't you boys carry a canoe down a dock? But at the, as you say, was at
On the other
Scout
side,
Island,
he was
they
fine.
could
Okay,
land on.
Yeah,
the-
I got this that like after hearing that, I'm like, I think it's more like the logistics of sort of that their ceremony. They have so many moving parts for
Mhm.
and so I wonder if that's why the concern is more
yeah.
All right, Liz, I want to see the Girl Scouts do it. Okay, enough of this boys
Could
only.
I, to that point, and Liz, I'm interested in your thoughts. If I could sort of do a parenthetical here for a second. David said at our last meeting clearly, and he sort of said this at previous meetings, like, we'd be okay with a boardwalk to Scout Island. Like, it doesn't
He
need to
did,
be
yeah.
behind a moat, protected from the
Okay.
public. If we were to think of that trail connectivity,
Hmm.
it's an even greater distance, but could you get from cornfields
Yeah.
to Scout Island? And from Scout Island down to Pond Street?
So you would do this
that
and then
becomes
this.
the- Yeah,
Right,
instead of going to the peninsula north of
Here.
Losbrook, right?
Yeah,
so
you
you're
would do
going,
this.
you're going.
We have it in later in here as a drawing with the bridges. So
Right.
instead of,
Yeah, maybe we can get some Eagle Scout and Gold Star projects going out of that.
Okay,
So, I mean, that was kind of a breakthrough in my mind. I didn't press on it in our big meeting.
so there
but-
should be, you have this in here somewhere.
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't have that. Oh, you drew that.
I
line.
drew this.
Okay, I thought it was
Based
in
on
here, right.
No, so instead of doing all of this, you would take
Mhm.
this bridge and put it here, right? Or that
Yeah.
boardwalk. And instead of doing this one, you would do this one.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Because that's kind of that distance and that's kind of a little bit
Mhm.
longer, but
Yeah.
I think that's really nice.
So that maybe we start with what we have here and then we'd want to have more talks with David.
Yeah, we would
about
have
that.
to, does
Yeah.
that change the nature of it completely,
everybody would
making
be
the
walking
island
through there.
then,
Right,
Yeah,
and it's a
everybody-
throughway, it's not just accessible.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but I think he has his insurance
There's liability issues that I know have been brought up.
liability
Yeah.
he's referring to is like,
Yeah.
what does it mean for the insurance and will that generate more cost or what?
Yeah. I think that's a discussion we
Somebody
should have
gets
with
hurt.
David, but shouldn't put anything in
Yeah,
here
I
just
think
yet.
then we have a complete discussion about.
Yeah,
But we
Liz,
should
had
talk about
you
it with the
said-
task force.
Or maybe I misunderstood you. Had you said that maybe in my recollection, that would be advantageous in the Girl Scout world because it's been hard for you to get out all the coverage for a canoe
Yeah.
trip.
Because you need to have lifeguards, you need to have wilderness first aid, because once you add in the boat time, you're then more than a half hour away from EMC. And I think for the Girl Scouts, the draw is really. The sense that I get from kind of the survey responses that everyone was sending me is like, the thing that people are really excited about there is the opportunity to go like more of a primitive camping experience, like really locally. Obviously they like love the idea of the canoes, but I mean, they're not really doing that right now. It's that experience of camping that's really kind of exciting. So yes, I think that, and because the timing of it tends to be fall versus spring, that's when you have the invasive problems, so that they've had challenges because of that with access, in addition to the logistical pieces of all that stuff that was talked about.
Perspective too, I think it's weird for, I don't know, 30 people to walk by a bunch
Yeah.
of people camping out
You'd
overnight.
have to almost like.
From a safety
close the trail
perspective, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
At a time.
So if that's the only way around, so I think we keep
So-
our.
So if, yeah, maybe the
Let's keep
best
it.
solution when we come to it would be a trail, a boardwalk from Pond Street
Right,
to the island, which could have a gate on it,
yeah,
Mhm.
which
but
would-
not a throughway.
Not a.
but not a
throughway.
throughway, yeah.
Not as the way
Yeah.
to circumnavigate. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I would feel so
We'll have
weird
that
if my
discussion.
daughter was out there and there were people.
Yeah, I would do, yeah.
Right.
That's what you were trying to avoid by
Okay.
camping out there.
Trying to move along here. Improved trail connectivity to West Concord Village, Wright Road, Lordsbrook Road, and the reimagined MCI land.
Do we need to add the reimagined MCI land? to that?
I had a conversation with Sky Gary, West Concord Advisory Committee, the committee. And he's like, you've got to be thinking about, that whole.
I know, and I
the whole
love
river
that.
walk, And you had.
I
the
love
same
that
thought We
idea.
talked about when we made that. earlier
I
sketch.
know.
So I think it's important at this point, and we've talked about this as a large group, not to lose sight of MCI and not to have a report out where the community's like, yeah, this whole thing happened across the street. Have you thought about that?
Right,
But this idea of like creating the seed or, you know, this basic, this core of a riverside trail system that then, as MCI is developed or designed, continues with a river walk on the Assabet bank.
it just feels weird to me. I love the idea of what's gonna happen to MCI and I wanna, you know, all of us to be thinking about it. I think it's funny all of a sudden to be so specific that there's gonna be a trail connection to MCI. It could be 100,000 different things that we could do to connect with MCI. It could be a road connection, it could be a overpass, you know, anything, but we're being so specific that
Mhm.
there's going to be a riverfront trail connection MCI. We haven't mentioned them once before, and all of a sudden we have a riverfront trail connection. That's the only,
Yeah, the only thing
weird
is we have
thing
to
for-
earmark this, and it has a potential for
yeah.
Essentially.
something
Yeah,
along these
and
lines.
potentially,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it could be, all of this
Because
could
we
have
don't know
potential
what
connections,
really
yeah.
is coming out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's the specificity, I guess, of it, Jeff,
Yeah.
that suddenly jumped in
Where did
here
that
and is like,
come from?
oh, yeah, it's
Yeah,
like.
so this is
that it?
this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
good. This is the.
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
that
yeah.
My really brain dump.
Yeah, no, that's good, that's why it's
Right.
the village.
Yep, and then the last one was, and it maybe doesn't even belong here,
Mm.
permanent recognition of the historical importance of Undershover Brook, the surrounding land, and the historical and industrial use of the land.
Didn't you
But-
do that already in the historic markers
But-
and things? I've done.
Well,
stuff.
it's to provide the access for people to because we're talking about access.
Yeah.
And then I did say, I'm not
What
sure.
does that
it
mean,
belongs-
permanent recognition
yeah, I
of?
think this is.
Just take it away?
Yeah.
That's very easy.
Um,
And now I'm. a
oh,
bit
sorry, there's one
confused.
place, we say a few times, Malcolm, a fully accessible dock. I
Uh-huh.
wonder if it should say boat launch somewhere. Do we say boat launch like at Commonwealth Avenue? Cause it's slightly different than a dock.
You're right.
Or at the first bullet in improved recreational amenities, I have currently improved parking and accessible water access
Uh-huh.
at Common Ave access
Should we just
point.
put it as a boat
Accessible
launch?
Boat launch.
Yeah. Cause that's what we want it to be, right? We want that's the place where
Yeah.
boats will launch.
We do. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a bit confused, with the next one, it's in bold,
Yeah, management plan and resources.
yeah,
So I think I had that
you did.
as a, sort of in my long list of bullets.
Hmm,
And I had, at least I.
You had an
your
adaptive
draft
management.
Was to promote that as a sort of a major component.
Mm.
Equivalent to improved access. But
we do mention it back a ways, and then we talk about it further on. If you can find a way to fit it in, I couldn't, that's why I left it.
Fit that in the restoration area somehow.
You had it before about management of invasives. Up here somewhere.
That was the
Why wouldn't it go
the
there?
steps.
Why wouldn't it just go there?
It does go bad.
Can you add it in the restoration of expansion of marsh habitat, extending rare species habitat currently mapped, and sort of kind of saying, you know, utilizing this kind of approach to make sure, is that something that makes sense?
I think that this is a major component response to. a
So,
major-
yeah.
So this again is the section of, please describe your proposal. What are its key elements related to the issues you care about? Ecology, recreation, fiscal sustainability, et cetera. What, if any, timelines and triggers if time is still sitting?
Okay.
That this commitment to a
Mhm.
management plan is.
Yeah,
What,
Agreed.
what
Could it
maybe
be
is
called,
missing are
uh,
some bullets that are like. what do you
Yeah.
mean by that?
Well, could it be called the long-term maintenance plan? Because that's what they're looking for, right? It's
it's.
so the long-term maintenance plan is a management plan for the vegetation and for maintenance of the new amenities. Like, we could list out what all of the maintenance items are. including these and the other maintenance that needs to happen for the dock and
But
the
that
parking
that
lot.
would come late, that's in a later part
Is it, so then maybe.
of
we
this. So
move it all
what,
there.
what Jeff is trying to get at is the adaptive management plan for the vegetation so that we don't find ourselves overrun by Phragmites or
But you
whatever
said that here.
other horror. Yes, it is.
Or do we need to say that again?
I defer to Jeff.
Where else do we say it?
So we said it, sorry, Malcolm, I pulled this, but you said it here, right here. Dam removal must be accompanied by an adaptive management plan. That's that management plan. Incorporated into the mandate of the NRC, which I'm not sure if that's, yeah, you're right, and adequately funded to monitor for and address any incursion of invasive plants such as Phragmites.
Yeah, I,
Would that be
I
it?
think that comes under because the outline that we're given is there's kind of repetition in that.
Yes.
And one of my things from proposal writing has always been, if they ask for all the points, even though you've already made them, you can't say refer back to thing, you have to list them again, or they're just as likely to
Is
say,
that the
well,
same
you didn't.
section?
No, it's a different
No.
section.
Proposal description
We're now
versus.
in the key elements related to
Key
the issues we care about: ecology, recreation, fiscal sustainability, etc.
We could, I mean, the first section is proposal description and the second section is describing proposal.
I know, I know.
Said repetition. I mean,
Well, it would strengthen the first one to have it be more robust, because in each place, it's only one sentence.
yep.
Where, and it's such a big component of this proposal, it feels like. Should we just make it a better section in
But
one
it's an
place?
important part of the proposal. It's not necessarily a big component.
The management plan?
Yeah,
Yeah, so let's. I'd be in support of merging these two sections. I mean, maybe unless the first one, proposal description is
Water down there,
paragraph, a couple
literally.
sentences, and then all this goes down on the second one, but.
Do you want to try that, Jeff, and just?
Yeah, and I just want to run through, if we go way back to the top, I'm sorry, so we kind of digested the second section now. And again, we had taken this, we worked as a group to reorder
Yeah.
proposal description, and if you have thoughts, let's incorporate those, but we've got. Are there anything of these 8 points that weren't in the section we just talked about? We removal of the dam, adaptive management plan, which is historic interpretation panels.
This might have happened while I was gone, but I don't feel like I heard anything about the limited dredging in any of those.
you're right.
Can't do this, right, and then the trail connection, and then another section, right? So.
Right, isn't there more than just that that can show up? Hold on, can I read them through? Let's make sure they show up. Removal of the dam, does that show up in this section? It does. Adaptive management plan.
Yeah.
Historic interpretation panels at Kenny Dunn Square.
Yep.
It is?
Well,
Maybe
it's,
not that.
oh, well, we just took that out.
Well, we took out one reference in access, but we have several.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course we do.
We do, it's there, okay.
General references.
Improvements at ComAv Public.
Yep.
Access, including parking and water access dock, I want to just call that a boat launch.
Okay.
There. At Commonwealth Avenue, accessible dock for water access at Giroux, is that in this section?
I thought we,
No, we said a dock for access. at
yeah, but we
Giroux,
took,
not-
we didn't, kill that?
No, we killed, boat launch there. And we killed accessible. Remember, we're still gonna do it like a viewing platform / something at Giroux, but is that in here, in this new section?
Yes,
It is, okay?
Yep.
Fishing wildlife viewing platform location TBD,
yep,
trail connections through the cornfields. Wright
Yep.
Road and Losbrook Road,
yep.
limited dredging,
And
Liz,
we have,
during the dam mobilization.
we haven't got it in this
So we need to
second
add it,
section.
okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess I thought the question was, or like, do we have it referenced later in terms of like it
Miss-
providing a benefit?
It's
So
missing.
what about in restoration? If we have. I'd even put it as a second bullet,
Mm,
You had here, it says limited dredging to encourage favorable channel alignment. And then I was saying, should it be to the deep hole and ComAv, should we get really
yeah, but
specific?
we changed the name.
No, I know, but no, not in the name, but now in here, in restoration, would you
yes.
add limited?
No, I
dredging
think you're right. We don't
to
have it in there.
The deep hole.
I feel like, aren't we doing it basically to help with recreational amenities though? Like in order to ensure the deep pool and be able to ensure that it's close to Comm Ave for, so I
Mhm.
think if we're gonna reference it, it should be under that section.
Yes.
Should be.
I don't know what the right express, but isn't not the limited dredging and the management plan, some kind of, I don't know, correction activities, or can we find a mitigation and thing that we have kind of like we have right now, headers around recreation amenities, improved access, and then we have something like mitigation activities, and then we have the limited dredging and the management plan underneath that.
Mitigation of undesired outcomes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, something.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Sven.
One other question for you, Jeff, on amenities.
Yeah.
You had, we had talked about, oh, actually, I don't know when it was talked about, somebody said, should we have at, Commonwealth Avenue, a hose to rinse craft of invasives coming in and out? Because otherwise, we're gonna be introducing new invasives every time a boat comes in, right? I've seen them at many of
Yeah,
those launches, right? I
they've
think
got-
Oars has them at a bunch
Yeah,
of them.
signage about.
Yeah.
clean your boat.
Mm.
Wash off your boat and.
Don't move.
Mhm, mhm.
However,
It'd be
going
possible
too
that-
much into details then.
Yeah,
I don't know, if we're trying to prevent invasives, I'm just trying to get rid of here's another way to get invasives back into
but it's
this pond.
possible at Giroux where they have water, like to have a sign and a station and something like that.
Mm.
Common Ave would be hard.
Yeah, I mean, you would keep the signage that's at Comm Ave, right? And then,
Yeah,
It's something I know that I've seen at many of these parks, and it feels like if we're putting in very detailed description of what kind of history we're going to put on signs, it feels like that's maybe one we should advocate for. Okay.
That would require drilling a well.
Or we have water on Comm Ave, like how hard would it be to get water into that parking
I
area?
don't know.
It cannot be that
If
hard.
you're-
It's a-
you're the
it's a water
public
line.
Yeah, it's. You have water, as you said, on Comm Avenue, and you just have to,
Just stick a hose pipe into the main and,
Yeah, basically.
it's
It's not that hard,
right.
some
Given the-
digging.
given the scope of the work that we're talking about.
Some digging, and
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Okay.
It should have, for me, that would be kind of a design element of how this thing looks.
Mhm. Okay,
And then there were the if-thens.
what's that?
Well, they say,
Yeah,
what, if any, timelines and triggers, i.e. if-thens, does it include?
okay,
And we have here assumes financial and technical feasibility of limited dredging,
Mhm.
using equipment and limited dredging using, I don't think it needs a comma there. Limited dredging using equipment and contractors mobilized for dam removal to encourage desired channel location.
Mhm.
And then trail connectivity and increased use would require pedestrian safety improvements at Kenny Dunn Square.
Wouldn't it require that everywhere?
well, I was thinking like when we talked about the loop, if we
Mhm,
went down
mhm.
to Losbrook Road. Then, as you guys all know too well, if you are leading people there and then they
Yeah, they can't
get
get in
spit out
there.
at Cunningham
It's
Square.
very dangerous.
It's not.
Yeah, it's
much of-
horrible, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
300 and.
But is it at Kenny Dunn Square or the
55
roadway?
degrees.
It's the Losbrook Commonwealth connection. It's not really the square.
Isn't the, you've got the road comes there, you've got the triangle,
Mhm.
with a road coming down here and a
Mhm.
road coming down. Isn't this whole area Kenny Dunn Square?
No, I think this is Kenny Dunn Square.
The triangle is?
This is called the Pocket Park.
Yeah.
And then this is called the Pale Bridge.
Okay.
They're like
But
five different
doesn't
things.
the
But we
square
wanted-
incorporate the
It does not
roadways?
currently,
Oh,
no.
it's literally just the square. It's like literally just the island.
So,
Okay.
Com Ave, Lost Brook Road intersection.
Connection, yeah. or something like that,
Yeah.
You could even say Pale Bridge Connector or something, because it's literally at the
Yeah.
bridge that happens.
Yeah, because that's where the
Sidewalk,
so like you could say Pale Bridge Pocket Park is where it needs it the most.
Well, it's also on that section where they rebuilt that house right on the
Yes.
corner, and you actually have to walk in the middle of the road with a blind.
the pit.
It's terrifying.
And I take out my phone and I go like this as I walk there, and I turn the light on,
Yeah.
just so people
Yeah.
see something moving.
Okay, so we've got that.
So bad.
And then we move on to proposal implementation details, which is from the thing. So the list is a 8-point list. Finalization of the dam removal plans, expanding the 30% plan to 100% plan, suggesting that in the spring of 2025. Assuming that this goes to town meeting in 2024 and is approved and goes
Wait,
on.
It's 2024 now.
2025.
Yeah.
Okay, so go on a year. Well, no,
Yeah, it can't go to
Yeah,
town
it
meeting in
can't go, yeah.
2024, yeah.
all right, yeah, gotcha.
And because it's also not gonna be until, right, it got pushed back, it's still, it'll be June of 2025 that we do.
Town meeting,
town
Yep.
meeting.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So that would
summer,
be- that's-
summer 20.
Was this ever, I missed one meeting of the big group. Was it ever discussed that this starts to be unrealistic to get anything into town meeting 25?
It has been
Yeah.
discussed.
That's why it has to go to 26th.
Well, I mentioned. There was a conversation, I don't know, or would such and such group be ready to prepare at the next meeting and.
Yeah.
Folks were saying we might need another month, and it wasn't this group specifically, I don't think, but I wrote it in him and I said, well, let's keep pushing, because we were aiming for December, and then Toby said, well, we agreed, we don't really have a deadline for ourselves. Then I said, let's get a sense of what the deadline is for the 2025 warrant, since we have a couple extra months, which I have to look up before I came today. And,
What's the deadline?
like when the warrant closes, is that already closed?
No,
Just
No, the
submit.
article, no, you have to bring at least the draft wording for the warrant closing. And after that, it can only make changes if it doesn't change the intention or the character
Right.
of the article.
but what,
we have-
under,
What
in
is
a
that?
normal year, when is that?
Yeah.
Because you put a proposal through
Mhm, that's
recently.
fine.
Oh, yeah, plenty, yeah.
Well, so wasn't the timing around this supposed to be, it was going to be, we were supposed to have this under December so they could finalize, they gave themselves like 2 or 3 weeks, so I assume that means it was sometime in January, so if we stick on 3 months from that, 2 months from that.
December deadline was only the contract that was drawn up with CBI.
But
That's-
my understanding was I remember this from an early meeting and I could be wrong, but I thought that was timed so that NRC would have time to kind of reflect on it in order to get the warrant in on time, and they did not have, they only gave themselves like 2 or 3 weeks on that.
That's my recollection too, Liz.
So if everything pushed back 2 months, then that would be mid.
So right now, the warrant closes on February 5th,
Okay.
Um,
So
But
yeah,
it-
maybe-
but they want to have it already
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
January 18th is typically the annual town meeting overview meeting is the meeting where kind of everything is getting kind of lined up and presented.
Mhm.
Which used to be December 18th, so it's just
I
pushed
see.
out by 1 month.
Right.
Yeah,
And
we're not gonna
we
make January
can't
18th.
introduce this as a late breaker.
No. Okay, so keep
Okay,
going.
So it's good to have that.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. so keep
So
going.
let's not worry about the dates
Mhm.
here until we know what's happening with everything else. So finalization, blah, blah. permitting of dam removal, mobilization to the site. And again, I put dates, clear the trees and stumps, grub as required to allow staging and access.
But isn't that part of the design? That feels like a funny thing to call out. They're gonna do that as part of the design.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
that
they
was the
say
question.
that's what they
Proposal,
want.
Implementation details.
Oh, we can't just say, do what EA says in their design package?
Again,
In the
just sort
order
of,
that they said?
Following the instruction.
Yeah, what does it say? Like, come up with a
it says the
construction.
implementation details, so. And just
We
those,
could say like, this is a high level overview of,
EA's
Yeah.
proposal.
And
and because these are really short bullet points. I think it's worth having them in there. So you have one reference point that has it all.
and then install and remove water control. In phases allowing in the dry conditions. Demolish the existing concrete structures and excavate to grade. Dispose of materials included assumed non-contaminated. Excavation and disposal of the existing earthen berm as shown in the drawings. Restore the site with loam, seed and erosion control blanket with no plantings assumed and demobilize
See,
from
for
site.
me, the things I think we need to add that EA didn't do was notify all abutters of, upcoming, project details.
Yeah.
Submit for permitting in time to allow the project to happen.
Yeah,
Submit
I've got
for
permitting
Yeah,
in here.
permitting.
Yeah, submit
And
for
I've got-
financing. Right, for some of these grants, like those are things that we need to do to implement this project. Apply for grants, notify abutters. Those are the things outside of the EA's contract that we need to do to
Yeah,
implement this
this-
dam removal.
and this isn't EA, remember, this is,
That was Sumco,
yeah,
the cost proposal.
yeah.
But I think we should add that into the implementation list of things that need to get done.
Right, so capital management plan. Yeah, seek funding.
Yeah.
I think that's.
So you're adding notification.
I'm gonna I'm gonna. make
There's a
number one,
timeline for those things, right?
Identify funding sources,
Yeah, and apply for grants.
identify and secure.
Yeah.
Because the talent, I know.
Yes,
To. Very important.
that makes sense.
And it says apply for permits, is that,
Yeah, got
Mhm.
permitting.
and then notify abutters.
Yeah.
Anything else that needs to happen before we can sign a contract with these guys?
Is there anything, and we had the question last time when you were not there, is there anything we need to put in that makes this proposal workable for the Friends of Waterford?
It's a good question. Anna could probably help answer that at the end.
Liz was referring to you,
To me?
yeah.
Well, I was just saying that, of the group of us in this subgroup, it seems like you probably have the best insight. But I think also, yeah, if Anna wants to give some feedback during the public part of
Yep.
it, that's also amazing.
If someone says, if you would have put in this or that, then it
Mm-hmm.
would be a no-brainer, or it would be easier to get through, or whatever. I think we have to think about the
Mhm.
political process a little bit, despite the process as such.
Yeah, I think most of it for Friends of Warner's Pond is being very realistic about the final condition, like not whitewashing any of it. Like if
Mhm.
it's going to be a lot of marsh and
Mhm.
no channel like 6 months of the year, we need to be, and
I
I think that's what
don't- you
Liz
see,
was
I
being
don't
very
think
clear
that-
about that,
I
like.
don't think that's true.
No, but
It's
let
not
me
gonna be-
finish.
No.
No, let me just finish that. But today,
Mhm.
I wouldn't call it a channel. It is like a dribbly thing. So I think it's about being very, very honest with everyone.
Where is the dribble?
It's right below the dam. It's literally, there's no water moving today.
Yeah, I
So-
guess I haven't looked at
Yeah,
it for a
yeah,
week.
It's
actually
low,
not
it's in
moving.
all
Yeah.
rivers right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that
Mhm.
I think a
And
lot
we're
of people are
also
gonna
in a
ask for
drought.
real, like, transparency about the
Mhm.
end condition. That's what everyone keeps asking me, like,
Yeah, no,
is
you're
this real
right.
about the end condition? Is this real about the edge? Is this real about having access to a water channel?
Mhm.
And I don't want anyone to whitewash it in any way to say, oh, no, this is gonna be access from this dam all the way through Fort Point. You're gonna be able to paddle
Well,
beautifully.
right,
And that's what they've been hearing a lot of, and people are like,
Right.
that's not the
Obviously
case.
not.
So let's be, I
Yeah.
think that when you're asking that question, I think it's about the transparency of, we know that there's going to be a deep water pool, we're gonna have
Mhm.
access to it from Giroux, we're
Mhm.
gonna have a boat launch. There will be 3 to 4 months, we don't know, of the year when this will be very, very low, and it could be dribbly or whatever we're
and
gonna
there will
say.
also be
Yeah.
years where it's accessible right through.
Absolutely, but we
Um,
haven't seen those years in a while, so.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
true.
So I don't want, again, please don't whitewash it.
No.
Just go to the,
Totally agree.
what could be the worst case scenario, and you just present it. You say,
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
the subgroup, that there will be many, many months, most years, and we know with the climate change, that won't be access in the summer and late fall, or whatever, early fall. But we're going to ensure water access with access to the deep pool and whatever else we're doing. So
Yes,
that's the answer I think would help,
Okay.
yeah, and the
That
deep
group.
pool should not dry up.
especially if
we-
we dredge it.
Right.
Well, we have to dredge it.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
In
It's
order
like,
to make it.
in order to make
usable.
it
Yes,
non-invasive.
no question.
So let's get clear, maybe in the short time, I think we should spend time on reviewing our criteria checklist to make sure we
Yeah.
all, that we feel that captures where we were on our last meeting here.
Mhm.
But
Now,
we're,
how much time do we still have? Sorry.
We have
20
10 minutes.
Yeah.
10.
so the limited dredging point, it's 0.8, I think it's now 0.9, because I added that.
Mhm.
It seems pretty much unchanged for what you have, Vicky.
Yep.
So let's make sure that we're in agreement on what that's describing, because if I recall, it quickly, that's focusing more on ComAv access and the channel alignment
Yeah,
Mhm.
and expanding, deepening,
yeah.
the
The pool.
pool.
My understanding from what I saw is if we don't dredge this, it'll be 5 feet deep and invasives will eventually take it over and maybe even sediment. So
Mhm.
in order to ensure
Yeah.
this, we do have to dredge it.
And my budgeted on dredging it 3 feet deep, but whether that would take it to 8 feet.
I
But
thought it had to be 10, didn't it? I thought 10 feet was EA's number for
I'm
not,
But I think that number is for slower moving water. I mean, the water will probably move slower through the deep well, but it's gonna move faster than it goes through all of Waters Pond, and a big part of the invasives is around the speed of the water.
yes.
yeah, I would just hate to dredge to 8 feet and then,
I agree, but I also feel like I would hate to dredge that we didn't need to dredge. Like, I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, there's two flips, like, I think we have to think about how do
Well-
we truly understand if we need to dredge and how much, because on the one hand, I think you are absolutely right, Vicky. If we were like, yes, we're spending the money to dredge to make sure this deep well truly stays as is,
Mhm.
and we don't reach that. But then on the flip, if we spend all this money we didn't need to dredge and like it would have worked itself out, then that's, you know what I, like, it feels like too,
we just won't know that, Liz. Like, if we spend the 10 feet, nobody's gonna come back and say, whoa, you overdid by 2 feet because I can see there's no invasives on the edge where it's only 8 feet deep. You know what I mean? Like, but if we only do it to 8 feet and there's invasives coming in, we're
yeah.
gonna,
Yeah, but it's still money that we spent, we wouldn't have had to.
So my concern is the extent of dredging makes this more expensive than the dredging option.
And also like, and I feel like,
I'm like, that's.
yeah.
I don't know how the numbers shake out.
But then we can't ensure the deep pool
Well,
if we're not dredging it
I think
to the right depth.
I'm not sure that we have the correct information at the moment to know just didn't I hear somebody said that they had to redo some of
They did.
the measurements,
And they did.
and so they did.
Yeah, they
I
did.
haven't seen
They did.
those.
Mhm.
So it would be good to, if we could base it on those. Anyway, I noticed in the limited dredging we have in here, I didn't change it, but it actually, it doesn't go on to the deep pool in here.
Right,
Right.
right. So I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that we all were eyes on that language and
Mhm.
however we shake out,
Mhm.
that, no one's surprised by this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm concerned about incorporating a lot of dredging in the deep pool.
Well,
Yes.
then we have to take out the as an amenity,
No, well,
if it's
So
really.
let me
not
just
a
also
deep
throw in a
pool.
parenthetical. Toby sent us an email at 6:05 saying,
Yeah.
do we have any questions?
Mhm.
And so
Yeah, this could be a.
Sort of.
Yeah.
this is a question. in there.
Mhm.
What is based on the telemetry we know?
Yeah.
yes,
The rectified
What
elevation
would we have to
data,
dredge?
what are we looking at for depth in that area?
right.
Mhm.
What,
To ensure that.
Also, how much does is there a way to get a sense of how much sediment will be removed on its own from there? Rather than needing to dredge it, because sediment from there that's not all gonna stay there. Some of that is gonna leave.
as the channel
Well,
forms?
I don't know
Yes,
that the
it
depth,
is.
the deepest part of the sediment's not going anywhere. I think it's all the stuff that's.
Can we,
No, I think it's the setup because the
But I
stream,
think that's why we need to bring in someone, because we're not the people who know this.
we're not, we're,
We're all doing a lot of speculating. I'm speculating as much as anyone else.
So what do you want to do? So we're gonna ask Toby that as a question.
yeah,
right.
so I'm gonna
And-
I'm gonna put a comment in this version saying,
Oh, so as I was looking at, trying to work out how much it would cost, I think we certainly have to look to the dredging group to find out the cost. But it's also a different circumstance because we will not need to pump the sediment off-site, dewater it, and then trek it anywhere. Because we're exposing already existing sediment, we should be able to place the sediment on the existing sediment. So it should be theoretically both easier and cheaper.
So we should just.
But we
confirm
need
that.
to talk to the
That
dredging,
that's- yeah,
people in the
yeah,
dredging
yeah.
group to understand that, because
Okay,
I know I don't have the expertise to say
Okay.
yes or no.
so
I
that's another
think
question.
we are
Two questions.
close to the time.
Yeah.
I think we need to draw an end to discussion at this point. It's interesting. And
Your brain was, as I was typing.
Oh.
thank you.
That's-
Not
Thank
really.
That's a lot of
everybody for their
questions.
input.
So we're gonna leave this portion off for now, the criteria checklist and all that.
How about, we still have another week
Yeah,
on a
we do.
Thursday,
I'm away. I'm
Tuesday,
away.
I think.
Tuesday?
It's this Tuesday, our meeting.
We could all go through, Nikki, especially if
Yeah,
you haven't had time to look at it, and
Okay,
everyone
Mhm.
say, are there other edits?
Okay.
Do we think we
I will
could
send you. these.
do that, and we could bring a track changes version to
Yep.
the
Mhm.
group?
That would be good.
And we're not presenting next week,
No, we're not.
Okay, and I won't be there.
but let's,
Then provide your input before.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you,
yeah, I'll send it. I'll
If you-
send,
yeah.
so I'll be traveling tomorrow. I'll try to get it to you by the end of the night.
all right, and I will send you this version.
Yeah, that would be
with the
great.
Type changes I've made. I'll send it
right,
back.
You do
okay,
that.
good.
I will mark it up and get it to you.
And
All these
yeah.
changes will show, in
Okay.
track changes, it'll show off of
Awesome.
Jeff.
Right,
But
mhm.
obviously-
Okay.
And I'll go through and
Okay,
because I didn't reread all my comments and everything.
And then, if we're asked at the next group, Vicky, since you won't be there, will we be ready to present at the next full task force meeting? Can we agree to that?
We should say
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Great.
Okay, so we're not going to meet again before. We're going to
So we
provide
have, like-
written feedback.
that's right.
Jeff is going to circulate that version. And then we will provide written feedback. Jack will concatenate everything.
Okay.
And we can wave it around at the meeting on Tuesday to say, look,
We're doing.
Lots of words.
I'll add the full appendix in, so it's 40 pages.
Okay, Anna, I think you're the only member of the public here, so
I think you're right.
would you like to comment?
Yeah, I had a few questions. I'll try to be fast because I know we're all tired. You mentioned when you're talking about the trail to Wright Road, the walkway, you said when funding becomes available. So are you going to cost out all this stuff and include it in your proposal?
Yes.
Okay. And then are you going to say like where the funding might come from? Because we don't have a great track record of getting funding for things.
I think we said we're gonna try to identify funding sources.
We
right?
were going to try and identify.
That's a
funding
good, that's a good point. We've added an appendix that has a table of funding sources more focused on the dam removal, but I could, in all of us, we can seek out
Yeah.
similar resources. I know there's DCR Trails Fund
Mhm.
grants.
And
We could-
I
we could have thought.
I was looking at similar projects that have been done around, the area, and I picked out Yarmouth and somewhere else on the Cape, and they had identified some sources of funding for their project. They were much bigger than what we're looking at, but so there are,
Okay, good.
but they're not going to pay anything like the money one would get for dam removal.
Yeah.
I mean, they
No,
could,
and it's kind of hard to argue, we need this scenic walkway through a marsh when we have marshes left, right, and center. So it's going to be a hard sell.
Mhm.
The only sell really is, oh, we're going to connect that part of town to Wright Road, but I don't know, that's going to be a tough one.
Mhm.
My other comment was when you mentioned the cost of dam removal, you said 50 to 80% of that cost would be covered by the state. But I thought that we heard that the state would never prioritize a brand new dam. So that's just a point.
there are multiple sources of funding. So the funding that is available for removing dangerous dams, dams about to fail, dams that provide a serious hazard, we would not be on that priority list. But there
Okay.
are, and I can't remember them offhand right now, but there are other sources, and there's a lot of federal funding. The Infrastructure and Restoration, or whatever it was, Act had something like $8 billion in it for dam removal nationwide.
Mhm.
So we ought to, if we have any smarts, be able to tap into that. I know that Acton, well, I know it was reported to me that Acton got 80% of their funds paid for.
Was their dam in bad shape?
Yes, that was in.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think you just have to be careful about.
Yes.
I think what we have to be realistic
Sitting
on
here.
that
We-
one is that we might, with funding, will probably also assign a timeline
Mhm.
that
Yes.
might qualify but fall into the priority stack
In 8
later.
years
Mhm.
or something.
Yes.
and that this is something that like pushed out another 2 or 3 years down the timeline.
Well, that's why I said 50 to 80. I mean, I fully admit that was pulled out of thin air,
So we need to, again, this is like the full transparency, let's
Yeah,
not whitewash.
but I think 50 is reasonable from
Based on-
everything I've read and based upon what I hear from the Mass Rivers Alliance. But I think we need to before we submit the proposal, we should have some sort of reassurance that
Yeah.
that's.
I think a lot of these we can probably take a look at ourselves and just do a gut check of like, does this feel like something that we would?
And I think we should be also clear in the wording that the timeline 26 or 27
Mhm.
years are also subject to funding in that
Mhm.
sense, that the funding could push that.
That might be one of those if-thens that we
Yep.
want to add in there.
Stop the discussion. Anna, you had other points.
There's just a wording thing when you were talking about restoring the fish passage.
Mhm.
you have to say if Talbot's Mill comes down as planned.
I think, yes, okay.
And then my last question was, what is a cool water fish species versus a cold water fish species?
Lucy, let go. Let me move my hand.
Cold water fish migrates even through cool water.
Yes,
Well, I
so
could figure that out, but what are we talking about?
we're specifically
migrating, it's
looking
not
at
key.
brown trout, brook trout, and rainbow trout. Those are the fish. Brook trout obviously being the only native species, the other two being introduced. But
Didn't we hear from that trout weren't going to be in?
but as the temperature, as in the middle of summer, there's a very limited area where they stay because
Uh-huh.
it's the only water that remains cold enough. But
Yeah.
as the outside temperature gets cooler, then the water temperature drops. And by November, December, it's cool enough for those species to be able to move out of their little, wherever they are, and move into the rest of the water.
But in the pond in December, it's
In the
cool enough.
in the
wouldn't
pond,
be a
it
cool
doesn't
I
apparently.
think I'll just say that sounds a bit fishy.
It feels like
Well-
the pond gets 1 degree cooler in December.
I
But this,
mean, you might be right, but you might be wrong.
No, it feels like it would get more than 1 degree in December, frankly.
I honestly don't
It
know.
freezes and you go skating,
Yeah,
it gets at least to
but that,
below 32.
So
no,
question,
it freezes at, oh no, I'm thinking of something totally different.
Celsius. Uh,
This is America and it's 32 degrees.
Yeah.
So,
In America,
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
so
There are only two countries in the world still using that.
Yeah,
US and
Sorry,
Liberia.
I just come back from
Couldn't help it,
Canada.
couldn't
so-
help it.
in terms of versions, I want to send, kind of want to send this version out, keeping the track changes.
Yeah.
But let's assume if
No, why?
well, I can accept it all, so everyone's looking at a clean version if we like. I
That
want
would
to.
be-
Because we agreed
I
on
think
the
that would-
changes today, didn't we?
Yeah.
Until the end.
Right,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
So I'll accept the upper ones.
Yeah, because.
Okay.
easier to read.
okay, that makes.
Oh,
I think
these are
that makes a lot of
criteria
sense.
with
But then we'll say like,
Right.
okay, we agreed on all this.
Or well, then
Yeah.
I'll
And
accept
then-
all change. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll leave it, I'll
And-
leave. And then, sorry, Malcolm, when we get to, I want to assume that we'll all have time to look at and provide feedback
Yeah.
by Tuesday.
Mhm,
And
For
so the
Thursday's
next
meeting.
version I present, is next week's meeting, right?
mhm.
That will be
No track
accepted
changes.
across the board
Okay,
and.
Yeah.
I think that sounds.
That makes sense. And I remember, sorry, I wasn't looking at the cool water fish. It's oh, she's gone. Can you relay back to her?
Sure.
It's yes, the cool water fish can come down into Warner's Pond,
Mhm.
and they have been actually brook trout have not been identified, but in one fish count they did identify rainbow trout.
Mhm.
But the thing is the connection. The trout will be able to get down Neshoba Brook into the Assabet system and potentially then up to the main spawning grounds,
Mhm.
which are
Which
you
could
know,
happen with the fish passage, I think is what's gonna happen in the other groups.
Mhm.
Doesn't require dam removal to do what you just said, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, but-
but we're not comparing in ours. That is the benefit of ours still.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but we're not.
Probably in all scenarios, we could make that happen,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your
Thank you.
agenda-
I declare the
Thanks
meeting
for the
closed.
notes.
Thank you.
Oh, second.
I think